Hey, got any of those Wonderkids? Those Bellinghams? I need more Bellinghams. Do you have them? I've got good news. We've got them. We've got the 20 best Wonderkids in Football Manager. We actually figured this out live on stream, and we did this with some parameters. The first parameter is that if you wanted to see this list be created live, then you need to be following the stream. The link is in the description. It's the Twitch thing. I know Twitch is scary, but I'm nice. The other actual parameters are they have to be under the age of 20. That's it. We're looking for the highest potential, most likely to reach that potential players under the age of 20 in the entire world. And the age cutoff for those curious is the beginning of this competitive season. So like last summer, not last summer, but like a couple months ago when it was warm. Last year in the southern hemisphere, and then it was cold. Ish. Right when Football Manager came out on stream, we put together this sumptuous list. You can see it's rated 1 through 20. But we actually couldn't decide on just 20. I wanted to add 3 more. So first, the honorable mentions for Best Wonderkid in Football Manager. Julien Duranville of Anderlecht in Belgium. He is fast. He is glorious. He has 150 to 180 potential. Mwah! There's 17-year-old winger Angelo from Santos in Brazil, who also has that 150 to 180 potential. And he's a little more well-rounded than Julien. And Nordsjaelland's 18-year-old winger Andreas Sheldrup, who, as you can see if you know Football Manager attributes, looks like a fantastic player at 18 years old, but none of these guys were good enough to crack the top 20 Wonderkids on Football Manager this year, which is essentially the top 20 Wonderkids in the world. But now, we begin. Starting with center back Giorgio Scalvini from Atalanta. He's the 20th best Wonderkid in the world. He has a great size, strength, and speed combination in the center of defense. He's 6'4", nearly 2 meters tall, 191 pounds. Very balanced technical game that you would expect coming from somebody that's been brought up in the Italian game. And this is not something that's gone unnoticed. He's 18 years old, and he already has an appearance for the Italian national team. On top of all of this, Football Manager gives him very high marks for his intelligence. He's evasive media handling, which means he's an incredibly professional individual. All good things that make him essentially one of, if not the premier center back prospect in the entire world. And of course, he's from Italy. It's a real shame though, because he won't be able to play in any World Cups though. Scalvini's potential ability is 150 to 180. And if you have no idea what that means, Football Manager assigns potential ability on a scale of 1 to 200. And it assigns it in a range because they don't know exactly how good these players are going to be in real life. A few of the guys we talk about today will have a set potential ability. To give you an idea of the range that we're talking about with Scalvini, 150 current ability is Wesley Fofana, and 180 current ability is Virgil van Dijk, which is the highest current ability for any center back in the game. And thus, according to Football Manager scouts in the world. Which brings us to number 19, the forward from Bayern Munich, Matthijs Tell. Tell is a very young 17-year-old player who already has a stupid amount of ability, and he's incredibly balanced. He is fast. He is technically can run with the ball. He has good creativity. He can pick out a pass. Did I mention he doesn't turn 18 until the end of April? Bayern Munich just bought him from Stade Rennais for $20 million after he made 7 appearances as a freaking 16-year-old in Ligue 1. Matthijs Tell is one of the dudes of the future whose name somehow hasn't completely broken into the mainstream yet. This guy's making $4 million a year and he can't even legally drive in some countries. Number 18, potentially the most Italian-looking human being on the face of the earth, Fabio Moretti from Juventus. Now, I'm going to save you the trouble off the top. He has 150 to 180 potential ability as well, and until I mention otherwise, everybody I'm talking about has 150 to 180 potential ability. Moretti is a central midfielder because of course he is with that hair. He's only 18 years old and he already has incredible intelligence and feel for the game. And just this year, Moretti's gone nuts. He has 13 appearances for Juventus already, including an assist. He's like a bright spot in a team that's been awful. And in November, he made his debut for the Italian national team, but as we all know, that wasn't actually at the World Cup. I can't believe I have this many opportunities to make an Italy World Cup joke. I have a feeling I'm not done. He's one of those guys that has turned 19 since the database was released, but just look at how freaking intelligent this guy is. And they have his personality as a perfectionist, which was actually one of the best personalities you can give somebody in this game. Between the ears, absolute dime. Number 17, Benfica center back Antonio Silva. This is a guy that had never played senior ball before, and after playing just the first part of the season with Benfica, made the Portuguese World Cup team as a reserve defender. He's either-footed, physically balanced with good size, strength, and speed, and has shown incredible mental toughness and acuity since being injected into Benfica's lineup. He also can really pick out a pass and just turned 19 on Halloween this year. He hasn't gotten onto the field yet at the World Cup, but his future is certainly bright. Pretty big 6-month come up. It just shows how accurate Football Manager scouting stuff is, because when this dropped, he hadn't made an appearance yet. Just saying. Number 16, this guy hailing from the United States, America, land of the free, home of the free, Bud Light. What? The highest ability player we've looked at on this list so far, and also the oldest, the American Gio Reyna, just turned 20 years old in real life. He's a regular in the US national team, except apparently at the World Cup, and despite injury issues, has become a relied upon part of one of the best teams in Germany and one of the 30 biggest clubs in the world. Honestly, I could probably narrow that list down even more, but I just don't feel like arguing with you guys today. He has a gifted control for the ball, he is surprisingly tall, and definitely very athletic. Both of his parents played for the US national teams, like the men's and the women's US. He was born for this. This is what he was born to do. You're looking at a guy who, when he was 17 years old, made 32 appearances for Borussia Dortmund. Hopefully he can get back and fully fit and continue to play for Dortmund, but Football Manager's scouting apparatus still absolutely believes in it. Number 15, Brazilian striker and 17-year-old Vitor Roque from Clube Atlético Paranaense. Freaking nailed that. What he lacks for in size, he makes up for with great technical ability and dogged determination. He has made 29 appearances for the club whose name I won't try to say again, scored 5 goals and registered an assist, and he is still 17. And any 17-year-old that's getting that type of time in the top level of the Brazilian game is going to warrant attention. Football Manager justly has him valued at 8 to 25 million. Transfermarkt is marking him over $11 million. He might just be the next name that you hear some club drop a significant amount of money to bring over. The only concerns about this guy are his size and that he doesn't have overwhelming speed to make up for it. His technical ability and, his determination make up for it. This makes him a bit of a diamond in the rough, which means if you found him, you would definitely want to keep that as secret. And the best way to do that is the longtime sponsor of this channel, NordVPN. You've probably heard of NordVPN before, but maybe you don't know what they actually do. NordVPN is a very easy to use software program that routes your internet traffic through somewhere else in the world so that it is much more protected and harder to track. Say if you're in a cafe on public Wi-Fi and you want to do some banking, you might want to send that traffic through London so that if somebody's sitting next to you trying to steal your information, it is a lot harder to do so. That's not the only way that you can use NordVPN, though. You also can use it if you travel a lot and you need to go back to a certain country to watch something, or you want to go send yourself to another country because you like watching their TV broadcasts better, or you like their Netflix offerings better. And it's all incredibly easy to use. If you use the link at the top of the description, you get 4 months free on an exclusive deal. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring all of these videos they have over the years. And I do hope if you don't use them already, I don't know how, but if you don't use them already, that you do to keep yourself safe and to be able to access your information on the go. When I say it's easy to use, I'm serious. I'm relatively scared of technology. You just click a little drop down and say, I want to go here. They even have apps on your phone. 4 months free, top of the description. Unfortunately, none of the players in the rest of this list are anywhere close to free. You want to sign them in FIFA or Football Manager. Number 14, from Bayern Munich, Paul Vonner, the German midfielder and kind of attacking midfielder, versatile type player, became Bayern Munich's youngest ever player about a year ago. He's still just 16. How many 16-year-olds do you know that have 2 Champions League appearances? I know exactly one. And it's Paul Vonner. He's so young that honestly he could end up anywhere from left back to center forward, and that is something that Football Manager acknowledges. Look at the position map that he's been given. He's either footed, controls the ball well, and is a pretty darn good athlete who understands where he's supposed to be on the field, but he doesn't make up the numbers. We're not talking about somebody like, a Milner that can play 8 positions and doesn't have the flair. This guy has the flair. In fact, Football Manager makes it his most defining attribute, which you probably should be able to tell because based off his picture, this guy makes some mean TikToks. I'm talking Lewandowski, like. Number 13, Italian left back Destiny Udogie, who is owned by Tottenham but currently plays on loan for Udinese. He broke through at Hellas Verona 2 years ago in Serie A at the age of 17, and he is such an incredibly well-rounded left back. Last year, he made 35 appearances for Udinese on loan. Tottenham bought him for $17.75 million, and he's already played double-digit games for Udinese Calcio again, and he's scored a couple of goals and assisted another. Outside of Nuno Mendes, there is no better left back prospect in the world world than Destiny Udogie. He's got the stamina, he has the athleticism, and he's got the technique and intelligence to go with it. He's also quite tall, so why not a libero? Why does nobody want to be a libero anymore? But now to the first person that you've probably almost definitely heard of if you like keeping track of World Wonderkids, Florian Wirtz, the Bayer Leverkusen midfielder. Wirtz is a classically cut German attacking midfielder. Great work rate, great technique, and an incredible understanding of the game and ability to control the ball. He already has 4 caps for the German national team, and it was a bit of a boon that he missed out on the German team going to the World Cup. You can bet that that won't happen again as long as Germany manages to make it to the World Cup, which honestly at this point feels like it might be a bit of a problem. There's always a North Macedonia hiding in the bushes somewhere, but Florian Wirtz is a Bundesliga regular, and it feels like he has been for years, as long as he can stay healthy. Injuries have started to nip at him a little bit, but he was unable to crack the top 10, and at number 11 we have Warren Zaire-Emery of PSG, who when you look at his attributes, just pan over that. He doesn't look nearly as impressive as some of the other players we've looked at. But he's a very young 16. What I mean by that is he doesn't turn 17 until March. And throughout this season in real life, he has made his Champions League debut and 4 appearances in Ligue 1. He is not a player that has a ton of ability right now relative to the other guys on this list, but he is so young and so high potential that he fits into that PSG midfield, a club that's notorious for not giving talented youngsters opportunities. Did I mention his potential? Because his potential ability range is actually the first one that's above 150 to 180. It's 160 to 190. Sure. That doesn't crack the top 10 because at number 10 is the irrepressible Harvey Elliott, the young Liverpool winger that Football Manager has been hyping up for years. Well, he's still 19 and will be 19 until April and has some of the best technique you will see of any player on this list. He also has that classic Englishman's work rate and teamwork and just rah, you know, something that just makes you want to throw all of your friends' beers up in the air in a pub anytime this guy does anything. He's shown that ability at times this year for Liverpool. He's been a regular part of the squad, if not a regular part of the starting 11. But as Liverpool fades into the next era, Football Manager's still betting that this guy is one of the 10 best Wonderkids in the world. He has a hard-coded potential ability of 170. The only player with 170 current ability in the entire database, Thomas Müller. I think Liverpool would take that player. It is a hard thing to be at number 9 in the best Wonderkids in the world and have it feel like a bit of a fall from grace, but that is exactly what this feels like for Yusufa Moukoko, who slots in at number 9. If you don't know who he is, he's a striker that broke every record known to man with the Dortmund youth teams. His potential ability is 160 to 190, and he's obviously a better player than Zaire-Emery is right now. He is pacey, he's got goals in him, and he started to score for Borussia Dortmund as well. It just seems to be taking him a little longer than everybody expected to become a super regular that's absolutely banging them into the back of the net. That being said, this kid just turned 18 and he played at a World Cup, and so going too far in the other direction and saying that he is a bust is the wrong take here. It just doesn't look like he's going to be a transcendent talent at 18 years old. It might take him until he's 20 or 21. How dare he? Yeremy Pino is a winger that Football Manager has been talking about for years. He has now turned 20. He was at the World Cup with Spain even though he didn't play, but he does have 7 Spain appearances before turning 20. He is a pretty darn athletic ball control merchant with a lot of creativity and ability to attack off either wing. Football Manager's given him a hard-coded potential ability at 175. That's the same ability that they have given to Bernardo Silva. Yeremy Pino's supposed to be fantastic, and he's already really good playing in the Liga at Villarreal. Now to number 7, and you might notice a lot of Spanish players on this list, but they're just a lot of really good Spanish Wonderkids, and you're gonna have to get used to it. It's Ansu Fati, who did play at the World Cup, albeit not that much. If he's fit, Ansu Fati is long been considered one of the best Wonderkids in the world. He has that Vinicius Jr. next wave superstar winger type of potential, and honestly, when he's fit, he already shows it a lot. Coming into this season, he had already made 41 appearances for Barcelona and scored 15 goals. And now that he's back and fit and playing, he had 14 appearances, 3 goals, and 3 assists for Barcelona before going into the World Cup break. Quite honestly, the only concern about this guy is the fact that those injuries have been popping up, and his potential ability is given as 160 to 190, which to me, honestly, might still be low. Next up at number 6, we have another Spaniard. It's your boy with the untied shoes, Gavi. If you don't know who Gavi is, he played almost every minute at this World Cup in the Spanish midfield, and He just turned 18 in August. He won the Golden Boy Award. He's got decent athleticism. He definitely has the technique that comes from coming through La Masia at Barcelona. But honestly, the thing that stands out to me the most when watching him is his determination to beat the other team. Yeah, everybody wants to beat the other team, but Gavi, who is not big, a strong breeze could probably blow him over, picks a fight with everyone, sticks his nose into everybody's business, and seems like a leader for the future for the next decade. Somebody that just desperately wants to win and has the technical ability and the athletic ability to make it happen at a very young age. I mean, how are you playing every match for one of the best teams in the world at a World Cup? How does it even happen? At 18. 18! And his potential is at 160 to 190. You know who else's potential is at 160 to 190? A guy who I'm going to get a lot of flack for putting at number 5, but I'm following the numbers here. It's Jude Bellingham. I go on the same rant that I just went on about Gavi talking about somebody who's 19 being the best player in England's midfield at a World Cup. It's insane. It boggles the imagination. The guy's going to have 200 England caps. He literally already has like 20. Bellingham is an incredibly hardworking, incredibly athletic, incredibly technical midfielder who seems to only be limited by potentially unforeseen injuries or his own brain. And I'm saying that as a potential thing because his mind seems to be perfect for the game. He handles the pressure immaculately. Now, he's not a prolific goal scorer in the mold of Frank Lampard, but he has the time to get there, the time to improve into that because he's only just 19. He's also not an absolutely gifted passer, but he certainly has picked out some wonderful passes at this World Cup. I don't think his passing is good enough for that playmaker role yet, but he's a Borussia Dortmund, of course, and they know how to grow fabulous players. That was an incredible get by Dortmund, by the way. They bought him for $32 million from Birmingham City. They're going to get that back like 10 times over almost. I know when I was talking about Gavi, you were wondering where this guy was. He's at number 4, Pedri. The other single-named region of Spain's glory days. Pedri has even more appearances for Spain. Played like 70 games last year, including the Euros and the Olympics, and is eventually just kind of burned out, but he plays every game that Barcelona and Spain play in. They want him on the field. He's a disgusting, illegally technical player who does have that playmaker ability type passing. When he is on, he can play all the way across an attacking midfield from left wing to right wing. He can step it back into central midfield if he needs it. He's not an explosive athlete, but he does have the stamina to run for days to get himself in positions to use that wonderful technique. And his potential ability is actually hard-coded at 176. You might be wondering who's left at this point. At number 3, it's Eduardo Camavinga, a player who at one time could have played all over the field that settled into a central midfield role for Real Madrid. He broke into the French national team over the last year and a half, made the World Cup roster, and has come in off the bench. Honestly, France's story at this World Cup has not completely been written at the time of this recording. The story with Camavinga has always been balance. He is a good athlete. He understands every facet of the game, has a very high technical floor. He just turned 20 and Real Madrid's clear plan is to have him next to Valverde and Tchouaméni as their 3-man midfield for the next decade, which feels unfair. But he didn't quite take over headlines the World Cup the way that number 2 did. Our second best wonder kid in the world, Jamal Musiala. Musiala is a player that could have played for England, could have played for Germany, picked Germany, went to the World Cup, and then got knocked out. But while at the World Cup, he showed off the fact that he is one of the best dribblers of his generation. The type of player that glides through defenses and makes it look way too easy against other professional athletes while also being 19 years of age. We're talking about somebody that's going to clear 20 caps for the German national team before turning 20 years old. The German national team. Like the factory of talent. He's already a mainstay and regular in the Bayern Munich first team, and I think we're going to be talking about Jamal Musiala for at least the next freaking 15 years. The only thing not to like about him is he needs to get a little better at finishing. He should have scored at this World Cup, and he somehow didn't. I have no idea how. Like Camavinga, his potential ability is hard locked at 180, which is very high. But nobody goes as high as our number 1 wonder kid in the entire world, according to Football Manager's massive scouting operation. The only player who has the potential to be better than Lionel Messi. His potential ability range is 170 to 200, and Messi never got to 200. It's Endrick, the Brazilian 16-year-old. The clubs are willing to spend over $70 million to buy. Endrick is one of those players that the moment you watch him, you realize what all the hype is all about. I was seeing links to goals this kid was scoring on Twitter when he was 14 years old. He has the natural creativity and flair to just go by people twice his age. He has the incredible work rate that world-class transcendent attacking players typically have to repeatedly go by their man. He's not an unbelievably technical player, and he's not unbelievably athletic. He just has the sense for how to break down teams, and he never, ever, ever, ever stops going at the opposition and using that sixth sense he has to get by opponents. Endrick played in 7 matches for Palmeiras this year. He has 3 goals and 1 assist. In the Brazilian U17 national team, he has made 4 appearances and scored 5 goals. All of this, and an hour ago, ESPN dropped a headline that says Real Madrid have agreed to a deal to sign Endrick. The deal is worth 72 million euros. He is 16. Not only that, he's a young 16. When Football Manager's database was made and dropped, he was 15. He turned 16 at the end of July. Endrick has a chance, a small chance, but a chance to be that transcendent generational player out of this generation. Football Manager certainly thinks so, and I honestly believe he does have a shot at it, having watched it. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to see how right this exact same thing was last year, I just pointed at the video we made last year of the 20 best Wonder Kids in the world. Check it out.